Hello. It's a weekend stream, which is something that I don't normally do. Anyway, I also saw that Casual Revolt, like, was doing this, an impromptu surprise stream. So, also go check out his stream if you're interested. Welcome, welcome. I wanted to continue with Culture Corner, so that's what we'll be doing. And also talking about some history, getting some background for Macbeth, many things that I would like to be discussing. It's another day, another stream in fascist America. Welcome to whatever this is, an attempt at providing education, advocacy, and a little common sense in this digital wasteland. I'm Aubri Devashrayee. Welcome, namaste, to the people who are here interested in creating a better world, who would like to take down these systems of oppression and build systems that are human-centered. We welcome robust discussion here, good faith criticism even, but if you are here with ill intent to dehumanize others and to exacerbate these hierarchies of human dignity that we find ourselves in this colonized world, first of all, fuck you, and a curse be upon you. You will receive what you give. Okay. Today, I have wet hair. I know this is the white side of me coming out. This is a crime. I'm doing the unthinkable, but also I have a hair mask on. Because my hair needs it. My hair is frizzy. I need a haircut, but I'm scheduling a haircut. I am wanting to get like a triangle haircut that's like very distinct. Like, I want to be a pyramid. And I think it's a fierce look. I want it to be very triangular. Like, when you see me, you're like, wow, that's a triangle. I want that on my head. One, because I think a bob like that is cute. I want it like on my cheekbones. But also, for anyone with curly hair growing up, you know that like you try to avoid a triangle where it just like that's what happens naturally as your hair grows. And I want to do it intentionally in a fierce way, reclaiming that shit. I got a cleansing done this morning, an egg cleansing, and this woman really knows her shit. She understood things about what is happening in the place that we live. So, I think I've mentioned this before, but this is a house that we bought, me and my partner. This is an incredible privilege that is not afforded to hardly anyone, especially these days. But we were able to get in for a whole number of other privileges and technicalities of like it being listed as like a 0-bedroom house because there weren't like doors. So like what you see here, my partner like built this door frame, which is like super fucking incredible. That was not here to begin with. So now we don't have just like a studio house. We also are what is assumed to be like a hetero passing relationship to many, or what they assume to be hetero. And so this is a privilege. I also had a connection with a realtor of someone I grew up with. So like all of these layers of privilege, but also like normally not being able to even be in a house if like it was not something we were even thinking about. And this realtor, she was like, maybe you could, maybe we can just look around. We're like, okay. But also I had a job at the time, so we had two more weighty forms of income in order to even get in here. And, with me being pushed out of my job and having a hard time finding a job, we'll see if we're even able to stay here. So there is that. We're also not alone in this of people worrying about making mortgage payments. Also, with me being white passing and light skinned, this also is an element that contributed. So calling out all of these things where there are, when we talk about systemic discrimination, that there are certain things that are perceived that helped us to even get into this place to begin with, that normally is shutting people out from home ownership. However, our payment is great, and great meaning like large for us at least. Hi, buddy. And we'll see if we can stay here. So that's a different thing. But anyway, when we were going through this place, because we weren't really looking at houses, this was the only one that we looked at because we couldn't afford anything because things are so expensive. We were looking at like apartments and stuff that we could possibly own. But we went to this place, and we went in the area that's like the laundry area and like this pantry area. I got this overwhelming feeling. I was like, someone has been trapped in here before. There is like a big feeling of distress coming over me. And I think I'm much more intuitive than what I have even considered in the past. And the person who was doing this cleansing today was like, there is an entity in your home, and I'm going to give you some things to do. I'm going to do some things. Also, you're more intuitive than what you think, so like stop denying that. Also, there are many people who are trying to prevent you from getting a job. So, there are people who really do have seen gifts. And after doing all of these things today, it is visibly lighter in this place. Like there is more light that is being let in. I feel like I'm not as drained or tired. And I think especially that's also something she said is like being like a little more like sensitive to these things, that it has been like draining my life force. This is like really that's a lot, but also I could feel it. Like notwithstanding, like the circumstances of existing in fascist colonized America, the United States, living in Utah, all of these things, that I was like, yeah, this is draining to be in here. And she was like, yeah, if you've noticed, if you've been inside a lot, especially at night where you have like extra bad dreams, this is probably why. And I feel so much better. Namaste. A blessing upon her, a blessing upon people who use these gifts for good. Wow. Anyway, there we go. So, getting to what I was wanting to go over today, as a continuation of Culture Corner, I did want to do a segment that is dedicated purely to the voice of Baceprot. Hi, buddy. Do you want to watch? You may come up and watch. But I have some popcorn. I have some treats. Oh, I do need to get more water. Hi, buddy. I also wanted to go over some more Scottish history stuff that we have been discussing on the stream that we didn't get around to. Yeah. Before we get into like the main part of it, this is something I'm trying to take better care of my inner child. especially with like how negative my self-talk can be at times, of just wildly critical. I know I'm not alone in this. I know most of us can be. And then there are some people that seem to not engage in this whatsoever. Or like in a constructive way, which is why this is a lesson for me, at least, to always be trying to work on self-care and love, because self-hatred leads to a lot of harm to other people. Feeling like a phoenix rising from the ashes, rebirth, transformation. Hi. This is something I'm focusing on, alchemizing experiences and turning it into power and energy. This is the Scorpio superpower. Hi. Anyway, this is what I'm drawing. I'm not the most technically skilled artist. I will be the first to admit this, but it has been really healing to even be doing more art in that way, especially like engaging in like fantasy type of art. That has been really good for me. Anyway, normally we start with a humorous video. Well, I guess I could. I need a drink anyway. Shall we find one? There's probably something by the Onion out there. Oh, Kit approves. He just rubbed his face on it. I don't know if you can tell, but I feel a lot better. This doesn't mean that things are solved in life by any means, but yeah, the person doing the cleansing, she described the area like exactly of where I was like, this feels cursed. And it's also nice to be validated in that way. To be like, I'm not just making things up. This has like a weird feeling here. Also maybe why people were not buying this place. Okay. Hi, handsome. He feels better too. The cats feel better. I can just tell. They aren't walking around like, what's going on? Okay, sometimes with the Onion, I can't tell if it's because they have a red border around videos sometimes. I can't tell if it is showing the line on YouTube of like videos you've already seen, or if it's showing the red border. I need to take this up with their team. Hello, Linton. You just got deja vu? That means you're in the right place, right time. What was happening with deja vu? If you believe in such things, of like our brains being like, remember this. Okay. Good to see you. How are things? Are you in Amsterdam? Okay. And while you don't have to answer that question if you don't want to either, but I am going to be playing this video. Uh-oh. And I'm gonna get a drink real quick. I have to look around Kit. Okay, we'll see if he decides to stay up here. Okay, the volume should be working. I have 2 minutes. I have to be fast.
Shocking allegations have rocked the Chicago medical community, where a local hospital is accused of faking a cancer wing, all just for attention. ONN's Sean Lawrence takes us beyond the facts.
St. Anne's was the hospital that had it all. A beautiful atrium, a loving board of directors. From the outside, everything seemed perfect, but inside was something far more troubling. Just a few weeks after its 30th birthday, St. Anne's took to their website to announce they had a cancer wing. The news attracted an outpouring of support from community members who sent the hospital everything from encouraging messages to cash donations. Among the cancer-fighting community, St. Anne was a hero. The hospital used social media to regularly update their supporters, sharing photos of brand new medical equipment and a chemotherapy unit. They even shared photos from an alleged ribbon-cutting ceremony. But behind those doors, not a cancer wing in sight. That's when supporters and donors started asking questions.
They never even offered the cancer treatments that they told us they were going to offer. We were lied to.
But instead of offering any clarity, St. Anne's went dark. The hospital canceled their spring cancer fundraiser, deleted their website, and stopped admitting new patients altogether. In response to the allegations, St. Anne has denied all wrongdoing, claiming that at the time, quote, "we sincerely thought we had a cancer wing." But for many, St. Anne's will never be.
Just the idea of them like faking space. Not until Monday. Okay. That's coming up though. I'm so excited for you. I hope you have the best time.
It again. For the Onion News Network, I'm Sean Lawrence.
Since ONN's investigation, St. Anne's Medical Center has closed their location in Chicago and moved to Dallas, where they are now operating under the new name of St. Agnes. Coming up next, more on this morning's alarming report out of the Pentagon. We have the latest on China's military efforts to amass a fleet of terracotta drones.
In perilous times of great uncertainty, across every corner of a helpless world, filled with terror and lies, the truth will be shouted by the only cable news channel you can trust. This is news without mercy. This is the Onion News Network.
I don't know if you could hear my chair squeaking. What? That looks so good. Breaking on this emote for another streamer. This random ass inside joke from their stream earlier. Amazing. Linton, you're so talented. I hope you know that. I'm gonna keep telling you that, even if you find it to be annoying and eventually insincere if I say it so much, but I also don't bullshit people. So there you go. What am I running over? This chair. I don't know what it is. There's so many chairs where they like pretend to have a headrest, but like especially with this one, I don't know if you can tell. It like pushes your head forward. So like normally it would be like, "Oh, is it cradling your neck?" I'm like, "No, it's like pushing my shit forward." So most of the time I just like sit not against and I'm trying to like have good posture. Cuz I'm destroying my body just by sitting, like many of us are in the Western world. Someone had a typo that said China isometric, so we were waffling what it could mean. Amazing. I love that. Okay. We do have an ad starting in about 30 seconds. I feel so much better after doing this cleansing. Wow. It's amazing when you get rid of entities that may be drawing your energy. how much easier it is to exist, which doesn't mean it's easy. I was saying earlier, my white side is showing because I have wet hair. I have a hair mask on, but I am feeling so much freer with having more of my own energy back that I am like, I don't care. I need this, so I don't give a fuck. I said China isometric because they invest in both new tech and the people in equal measure. America asymmetric because the money only goes one way. That's amazing. I love that. And a great visual representation of that too, I have to say. Okay. Shall we get into continued culture corner? This is for the VOB heads, voice of Baceprot people, where you know, I have become a big fan of theirs. I think especially like as they are going throughout time and performing in more places, producing more art, they just keep getting better and better, which often when people are getting more notoriety, that's not what happens. They can get worse. So it's really great to see. I think it's well deserved them being noticed more. Yes. Who is the streamer you're doing this for too? I'm curious. Also want to shout them out, give them some support. America asymmetric. Amazing. Yeah, it really is, isn't it? A little less refined. It was like a 5-minute turnaround. Holy shit, you did that in 5 minutes? More of a Photoshop job than a drawing for this sketch. Well, I mean, it's all about the vision, you know? Like, if you have the vision for it and can execute. Finami, a Portuguese leftist streamer. Okay, shout out Finami. I'm gonna have to check them out. I'm gonna write them down. Write down their name. Finami. Incredible. Thank you for sharing. All right. Shall we? I have my popcorn, snacks, and now I have water. I'm ready. Live at Trans. What? This was for the trans? That's me making a joke. Trans Musica de Rennes. They stream around 6 to 7 p.m. our time on Wednesdays and Saturdays. Okay. Yeah, I'm going to have to follow them. I trust your recommendations and also just want to support a fellow streamer. Also, I found out that Fumalina, someone we rated recently, who is a really great streamer, really positive, chill vibes over there, which I will admit that's not always what I offer. I can be self-aware at least. That it is their 2-year anniversary, 2-year birthday for being an affiliate. So happy birthday to them. It's very exciting. All right, let's do this. No, I should have had the foresight for this. Me claiming that I'm intuitive. Also, I had a recent person comment on a YouTube video, saying that they want a fellow creator on YouTube, saying that they want to collaborate on the topic of like nice guys that we were talking about yesterday, quote unquote nice guys. So I'm excited about that. we'll see if that happens. Around 11 to 12 your time. Okay, that's good to know. Thank you for doing the math for me, because I was not doing it in my head. I was like, I'll follow them and then just see when they go live. Very cool. I love learning about more streamers that are really just creating these incredible spaces that are so needed digitally, but also how it is this larger, like, real world experience as well. So this is them performing Killing in the Name, which is Rage Against the Machine. This is a cover. I have not seen them do this cover. Ooh, yes. Incredible. Sharing their info. Benami. Following. Ooh, they have some good music. Don't look at my inbox. Melania movie in Fortnite. Oh, that's amazing. Okay, I'm following them. Thank you very much. Shout out. Trying to shoot for affiliate over there at the moment so we can get emotes sorted. Yes, okay. Yeah, I'll be shouting them out. And okay, so 11 to 12, what you said. If I'm ever around at that time doing a raid. AM? I mean, I know you're in the UK as well. We really need to be just using military time over here. 24-hour time. I think that's how we should call it, because I don't want to have it be militarized. Noon. Okay. Thank you. Something that I've been working on, this is a side note, but I am working on planner pages because I'm a planner snob, and I promise this is related, where I have a 24-hour day on the planner, because most of the time it's like, oh, this is 6 a.m. to like 7 p.m. And I'm like, you do know that people do things outside of this time frame, right? So, and like have jobs outside of this time frame. So I'm working on like a 24-hour planner, and it does use a 24-hour system of time. That is in the works, but we'll see when I have that finalized. Okay, if I'm streaming around that time, maybe I'll start streaming sooner to do some raids there. We'll see. We'll see what I'm able to swing. But shout out to Finami. Thank you for the recommendation. I'm guessing this performance is what got the attention of Tom Morello, who is the lead guitarist in Rage Against the Machine. They perform with so much joy. Not only with Voice of Baceprot do we get like technical skill, we get political awareness, we get global awareness, we also get good live performance, which I am a snob about. I will be the first to admit this. This is the theater background coming out where I'm like, but can they do this live? And them also having joy of like, I love seeing when people enjoy their art form. like where you can visibly see it in live performance. Like when people try to look too cool when they're performing, it's like, okay, then why are you doing this? You have a new Palestinian artist? Yes. Oh, it's paused on one of the strobes going out. Yeah, we always have time for Palestinian artists, of course. Thank you. Juniper headbanging emotes! Stop! That would be perfect. Emphasis on perfect for Culture Corner. Lyndon! I love that. You know, it may come as a surprise, but like growing up and through like, well, like a good part of my adolescence, maybe I wasn't really as exposed to like metal or like heavy metal or rock. It was very like whitewashed rock. Like I have developed even more of an appreciation, I think, in my adulthood for rock and metal and like where it comes from, especially in the anti-establishment, especially with its origins in resistance against chattel slavery, especially, and how it is a vehicle for political resistance. So it may not work. I've only animated once in the past. That's okay. I am even just like honored and thrilled that you would be willing to try it out, because I don't know what I'm doing. But I also can be exploring this. When you do what they told you. Each one of them, they're so good at what they do. Look, this solo. What the fuck? The bass solo. Holy shit. The one attempt did work out pretty well. That's great. It was a few years ago. Tried making a music video. Wow, I'd be interested in seeing that. The drawings were kind of ass, but the lip syncing and such actually kind of worked. That's amazing. Even the fact that you were able to figure it out at all, I'm impressed by. That shit is hard. Excuse me. This deserves snaps. Wow. There's a reason why Tom Morello noticed this. And he was like, oh, you're actually politically aware? You actually are good technicians with your art form? Because he's one of the best on both of these fronts. I try to make some animated flag ones. Oh, get more representation with limited slots. Maybe a Cuba. Yes, I would love that. And some of worldwide ones. Yay! Oh, Linton, you're thinking way beyond even what I imagine. And I'm so once again just honored that you would even be thinking about that. Thank you. There's a Hydra flag? Stop! I didn't know this. I don't know why I haven't even looked this up. Maybe because I'm like, oh, people just forget about us? Hydra flag. Okay, that's AI. We won't use AI to look at that. What? Mid-South Pride. Why haven't I looked this up? Ooh, this is probably revealing my own need to deconstruct self-perception. Oh no. Wow, thank you for letting me know. The Hydra Pride flag represents the Hydra community, a distinct cultural and gender identity primarily found in South Asia. Yeah, this really is Mid-South Pride, to say that it's not just Indian or Hindu that is deconstructing the Hindu nationalism and creating a monolith out of people. Hydras are often considered a third gender, separate from male and female, and have a long history in the region, which roles can include spiritual and cultural significance. This identity encompasses a wide range of experiences, including those who are intersex, transgender, or eunuchs, and it is deeply rooted in the cultural and social fabric of countries like India, Pakistan, and Bangladesh. The Hydra community is known for its resilience and vibrant culture, often forming close-knit groups that provide support and solidarity. While Hydras have faced significant social challenges and discrimination, they continue to advocate for recognition and rights, celebrating their unique identity and contributions to society. Oh my god, this is making me emotional. The Hydra Pride flag features a combination of colors that symbolize the diversity and strength of the Hydra community. The flag typically includes pink, white, and blue stripes, each representing different aspects of the Hydra identity. Pink symbolizes femininity and the connection to womanhood, acknowledging those within the community who identify with female traits. Blue represents masculinity and the connection to manhood, honoring those who identify with male traits. The white stripe in the center signifies the unique identity of Hydras as a third gender, distinct from traditional male and female categories. Yes, as being separate. This color scheme reflects the inclusivity and acceptance of diverse gender expressions within the Hydra community, celebrating their rich cultural heritage and ongoing journey toward equality and recognition. I can't believe I didn't even know this existed. Thank you, Linton. Oh my god. What is the aromantic flag? I know that there was one. Okay, that's right. It's, yeah, this like lime green, these greens, gray, black, white. Oh, and using the emotes! Stop! My heart is too full. I don't know what to do with these feelings. I'm like the Grinch over here. I guess that means we just have to listen to more rock or something. Thank you, Linton. Teaching me about myself? What? Okay, this is another song that Voice of Baceprot is performing, but this is one of their original songs. I'm not subscribed on this account. I am on my personal account, which I will not reveal. Not public property. Incredible. Especially with how women are perceived. Even the concept of them being able to perform and have that autonomy and freedom and to be defying these norms that they are trailblazers and really are such an important voice for many people who are oppressed. Oh, whoops. Damn. Oh, see, I should have seen this. I'm really undermining my claim to be intuitive, aren't I? Our body is not public property. We have no place for it. We have no place. We have no peace for the sexist mind. I just want to sing a song to show my soul. Oh my god. Don't try to judge us now. Incredible. This song and God Allow Me are in my playlist, appropriately named. Yep. Incredible. I have not heard this song yet. I have intentionally stopped myself from listening to it when I'm listening to their music on my own because I've been wanting to react to it organically. But once again, the layers to their songs of like the intro like coming in very strong and then like pulling back when it comes to the first verse. Like, they understand levels, they understand contrast so well that I feel like is a very mature thing for artists to do, especially musicians, where people tend to just kind of like throw everything they have into at least like more juvenile or like less developed artists, like when it comes to technical skill. of building a song, that like they not only are like very technically good at their instruments, but also in their songwriting abilities of being able to actually understand like that you need contrast in order to tell a story more effectively and actually have it go somewhere. The Red Flag playlist, comprised of only the best leftist music. Okay. This is why you're just collecting things, and why you have such good recommendations. I have like resistance playlists, but I don't know if I've categorized it into like leftist playlists. I love that. I need to do that. Those birds, are those crows? I love crows. A well-placed solo. I was expecting them to go into the second verse. I love being surprised by this bitch, of playing with form in this way. Also got the watermelon. Yes, exactly. Palestine. Heavy overlap. Yeah. Of course. Of course there's overlap there. Incredible. The beat. Ooh, the speechy talking with it, just like speaking truth to power there. Incredible. Also the lyrics, the artwork that is overlaid. I love the colors that they choose. I had to go on a deep dive the other day because Loki's damn near whole discography is in there. Yeah, I mean, honestly, everything that I've seen, had to find a ton more to balance it out. That is the thing with playlists of like, a lot of the time, that's a very real situation of like, oh, this artist is inspiring me to create a new playlist that I like. And then you're like, oh, I think I need to find other things to go in this, because it's like their entire oeuvre. Ooh. Stop. I mean, I'm always a fan of purple. So, I love that. I love those color schemes. Wow. Got enough to possibly never run out of suggestions. Holy shit. That's a lot. I was just about to say, I'm like, you should like share that shit in the Discord, but also if that's gonna be like super long. Which, you know what, who cares? If you're sharing good art with people, then like we should all just say thank you and you say you're welcome. You know what I mean? Okay. This is live at Head in the Clouds in LA. This is from 2 years ago. This is something that has been widely requested from the fans on YouTube when they're in my YouTube comments. Shout out to you. Thank you. I appreciate you. I have been collecting your suggestions, which is what we're watching right now. Ding, ding, ding. Anyway. Shall we watch this? But this time, I'm going to use my foresight to refresh it. Purple is your favorite color? Ah, it's my favorite color too. It's my favorite color too. That was one of my like sole request in moving to this place. I was like, can I paint a wall purple? I have wanted to have a purple wall my entire life. And I know many are not afforded this privilege. But, you know, many young people are just saying, like, fuck the deposit on my apartment. And that's fierce. That's very anarchist to do. And I support that. I support this behavior. To be like, most of the time, people are not getting their deposits back anyway because management and landlords, fuck landlords, that they're like, oh, I have to use this for cleaning or painting. That's like, okay, well, it might as well look good to begin with. But also, to give a nod to my intuitive abilities, is that we were adjusting like some of the baseboards and stuff, like as we're thinking about selling this place, seeing if we can afford our mortgage and shit, to make it more sellable. We saw the paint underneath, which we haven't seen, that the paint was purple. And can I just say that the color schemes for this house are the same ones that I have picked. And I feel like I've really tried to understand the vibes of this house that was happening originally. Because when we moved in, all of the walls were white. It was very bleak. It was not taken care of. There were bad vibes. I felt like it was cursed. But upon like having some of this pulled back, like under the white paint of people who had lived here for years and years, I think it was like this really like mean old man who lived here before. There was this family who lived here originally that they chose the same color schemes. And so I'm like, I'm wanting to honor what this place was about and thinking of places as like their own type of entity and wanting to bring back the positive spirit and energy that was here originally, that like you could tell existed before. That's been my attempt here. I'll get some research on Zajal done tomorrow and find some more clips and context for the new Serene drop. Ooh, yes. Thank you. Might gotta dye my hair purple. And when it's healthy enough to not turn to hay with chemicals, I mean, yeah, that is the risk. But also, like, yeah, going to people who know how to do it. Honestly, this is what I've been taught in life, is like, even though hair shit can be so expensive, saving up and going to people who know what they're doing and like want to take good care of it, where you feel safe with them, especially if they understand your hair texture, that is very important. It's worth the extra money. But yeah, I am saying this because I've done too many like box dyes where my hair looks like shit. So take that for what it's worth. I love that though. Purple hair. I once had like maroon hair. It was like after I played Ariel in a community musical of The Little Mermaid. And so it was like this burgundy color. And I really liked it. But they did have to lighten my hair first in order to put it in. But luckily she was really good at the color. But also it growing out, that was an issue. It's like I like to have really dark hair because I feel like that I feel at home there. But also with it growing out, if you have lighter hair underneath, it can like make you look very strange at times, or even like you're balding a little bit. Anyway, I think I refreshed this. That photo is so fierce. So this is about 15 minutes. It's a set of 3 songs, I believe. This was something that I requested from the fans in the YouTube comments of saying that like I have a set that I want to show of an excited audience of like them playing like 3-ish songs. I don't know if you can donate dyed hair. Kind of want to do that when it's properly healthy. Do you have really long hair? I know, I haven't looked into that either. And sadly, I haven't done, like, my journey to having short hair has been so gradual. That's been, like, my process of deconstructing gender and, like, accepting my own gender identity. Because I had really long hair for a while. Like, with it being curly, it was, like, down to my butt. So it was really, really long, and I kept it pretty healthy too. Of like getting like regular trims and such, but I didn't do like the big chop, and then I would have been able to donate it. Then again, might not be able to donate the ridden hair anyway. I don't see how it'd affect anything though. I know it can be weird about how they accept hair, but I mean like many times they'll dye it anyway, so I don't know. Maybe it will just like take some research to see what they prefer. Yours is pretty long right now. Okay, interesting. I love that. I'm not familiar with Head in the Clouds in LA. Just a festival, I'm guessing. I'll look this up. Not like the presence of THC. Yeah, they better not be testing for that shit. It's like, what, is your hair applying for a job? I mean, I guess maybe. But it's not like people who are wearing wigs are having their wigs tested, you know? Can't donate blood. That is understandable. I don't know if this is an experience you have in the UK, but in the US, doctors won't tell you what your blood type is. You have to like you have to like donate blood and ask them there. And when I donate blood, I pass out. So I like stayed away from that. Maybe I need to start doing that more again though. But the time that I did it, because I've only done it once, and after I was like afraid, I didn't ask for my blood type. I'm like, this is just another example of like the medical system bullshit in the US, but like, this is me, this is my body. Like, and they're like, yeah, we can't tell you that. It's like, says who? Says what? What is barring you from telling me what my own blood is? That seems like that's important, wouldn't you say? And like, anyone who I talk to about this in the US says the same thing, that like doctors won't tell them what their blood type is. I'm like, okay, so now we have to fight big blood? Like, what else is going on with these like leeches, quite literally these capitalist leeches of like, so we can't even know what our own blood type is, but like they can? Wait, I was misinformed. You just can't be under the influence. Okay, interesting. Get on the stem cell register. I mean, I didn't know any different. I didn't know that. So it's not like you're alone in that. That's also what I was assuming. Had a piece of popcorn fall on my shirt. That phenomenon is very common. Especially the day is not wearing a binder. They're doing so good. This was in 2021, I believe. It really is incredible how much they improve year over year, and they're already good to begin with. And also so fucking fierce that like one of the first things that ever existed from them on the interweb was them performing a song in support of Palestinian liberation. Like, are you kidding me? Oh, 2023? Although at the beginning, did it say 2020? Their makeup looks good, their styling. Hello, Water. Welcome. Cozy. I know, as it's so hot outside. I'm wearing a flannel. Like, I have wet hair. This is my white side coming out. Like, I have a hair mask on, but I also just, like, don't care, so... Hello! How are you? How did the rest of your stream go today? How was it being a bird? Being an ibis? Though I think I might already be on the stem cell register. I think I am as well. And then they contact you to see if there's like a match or something. The whole friend group got tested like 5 years ago. Wow. That's a cool friend group. Damn. I wear flannel all year round. Amazing. I once heard Tig Notaro, the comedian, lesbian comedian, say that this is the queer uniform. I'm like, well, you aren't wrong. I know. They're just so fucking brilliant at what they do. And then also have like the political chops to write incredible lyrics that mean something. Yes, hello. Hi. It's so good to see you. Oh, damn. They had leukemia and needed a lumbar puncture. How are they doing? How are they doing now? It's really cool that you all did that. That's like true friendship. Jesus. The stem cells worked. Oh, I'm glad to hear it. Yeah, that's so beautiful that you all did that. So with these Vans that she's wearing... Sorry, I got distracted by the shoes. I'm so glad that the stem cells work too. From what I hear, that's a pretty intense way to, or like, maybe I'm thinking of bone marrow. Was that like an intense procedure to have done? I guess for everyone involved? That's something I would imagine so, but maybe I am thinking of bone marrow. Yeah, that is so inspiring and incredible that you all did that. There are good people. You all are good people. Putting away. Yeah, that is true. Of like, yeah, being able to live on through your friend. And honestly, it's like, if there can be ways for like helping people to continue life like and do it in an ethical manner, then like that's what it should be. You know what I mean? Of like, well, if we can help each other out in this way and as a collective, then we should, you know? But I'm glad that your friend was able to have a match too. Yeah, now they're on to Sabotage by the Beastie Boys. These are hard songs, by the way. It also is like shows their understanding of like, okay, we're gonna do an original song, we're going to do a cover to keep the American audiences locked in and entertained still. I would play this on Guitar Hero. The audience is into it. Yes, I love seeing that. I love seeing that. especially with like there are probably a lot of fans that are in the audience, but maybe people who did not know who they were or even like what they're about and like the journey it's been for them to get there in the first place is like very cool. It's like art is a universal language, especially when it comes to music, of it speaking to everyone, especially when you can see like how much joy they have in their performance, and also that they're just like so technically proficient at what they're doing, of like they understand what it has taken to get to this place, so they're enjoying themselves, not like trying to be like, oh, I'm too cool for this. It's like, fuck that shit. This is what I love to see. And the fact they have such a full sound and it's only 3 of them shows how good they are too. Crowd looks so much more lively, I know, than the Danes. The Danes. Oh. Yeah, we can't count on the Danes to be like a super excitable group as they are. I'm also Danish, so I'm saying this out of experience. Yeah. Even with a few beers in them, that's like, okay, they need something. Performance is all about an exchange of energy and give and take. And like being able to see the audience actually giving back to them is so nice, because then it makes it so that they can keep going with more energy too, rather than just like being sucked dry by people where you're like giving to like this brick wall where you're like, okay, we need something here. Their styling also looks so good, always.
You ready for the best part? Okay, let's go.
Yeah, it's not even like the biggest crowd that we've seen of them performing, but because the crowd is actually into it, it makes it seem like it's bigger. The Loki show I went to was lively as fuck. Pure call and response. Ooh, I love that. Yeah, there really is such a thing as like a good or bad audience. And it really is such a relief. Like, I know there are sometimes like performers that can like overly blame an audience of like, oh, that was just a bad audience, like if they're just like not good. But like there really is such a thing of like, if a crowd is even being open to like what you're presenting, and it can be such a soul-sucking experience to be on stage where you're like presenting your whole self and your art, and then people are just like, okay. Like, what do you mean? What do you mean? What else do you need from me? Also the graphics that they have in the background. There's so much attention to detail with like the lighting and the artwork. Yes. Wow. Making it look so easy, too. Also, like, understanding the, like, technicality of what it takes to have a good performance of the drummer continuing while the lead guitarist gets a drink and the bassist is tuning to be like, okay, we still need to keep up this momentum, and like we each have give and take in order to keep the audience engaged. It's like brilliant. That takes a lot of mature performing to like be doing it a lot, and also to understand like the technique of what it means to even be doing this live and have it be a sustainable, engaging endeavor for everyone. One of their original songs, God, please allow me to play music. I think that's what the exact wording is. Yeah. God, please allow me to play music. I wasn't sure if it was let me play music. Incredible. Where they're mixing up the covers with their own original music to also keep people engaged. Yes, they're so in sync. I love that they keep showing those audience members. They're in it. That's one of my favorite things to see as well. Not to interrupt this like fucking hard solo. One of my favorite things to see, and like maybe like this is the like people watching aspect, but like seeing people actually like let loose and enjoy themselves in any particular way. I mean, if it's not harming other people, consensually, you know, non-consensually, like that is such a joy to even witness, for people to be just enjoying life and like having a reprieve from all of the bullshit that we experience, and like not feeling like people are too cool to like engage in ways that they actually like want to, of like, I love to go out dancing. That's like one of my favorite things to do, but like especially with like more than ever people not really wanting to dance because of being afraid of like being recorded and stuff. And it's like, who cares? If that's on the internet, who fucking cares? At least you were living. At least you were doing something. I don't know. That's my that's my take on it. Exactly. God allow me please to play music. They're only gonna get better too. Like, if that's possible. Damn. Incredible. Yes. Amazing. Encore. Oh, they have to go. That person in the hat is probably like the social media coordinator for the event. Don't ask me how I know this. Wow. This really was a great recommendation. I recommended VOB to my friend so he could have the ball knowledge talking to his Indonesian friend. Okay, even if his Indonesian friend, I would be surprised if his Indonesian friend didn't even know who they were because they seem to be like so central to especially like what's happening in Indonesian culture now. But yeah. Wow. Incredible. I'm curious to see like if that did pan out for your friend. She's been doing some radicalization on him too. Wow, I love that. Solidarity. She's pretty politically tuned in from what he's told me, so I'd be shocked if she didn't know them. Yeah, especially like what you're saying of them or her, like if she already does have some political leanings that are leftist, then like I would guess that she would be like obsessed because like many of us are, and we don't even have a direct connection to Indonesia. I think they just mean so much to so many people, but yeah, I'm very intrigued about that. Okay, so this was recommended to me. This is from their official channel, Voice of Baceprot on YouTube, the vlog of the journey to Copenhagen. So we may get like some of the performance here. I have not seen it at all, so I don't know what to expect. But I am curious about hearing their side of the story, not just like these weird compilations that I pulled from the internet to show like what their highlights are, and like hopefully get more background as to like what it was like for them there and getting to that point. So let's check this out. And then after, this is the last thing that I have of VOB, Linton, if you want to share the Palestinian artist that you were talking about. This is like a half hour long, just as a heads up.
And
Yay! Okay, I'm pulling this up. Saba and Eldon. Okay. Thank you very much. Also at Head in the Clouds, because I'm not familiar with them. Looks like Cat's Eye was one of the main people. Which the women in Cat's Eye are so talented, but I do think that they have been so corporatized that it really stifles their talents. Especially of late with the music that they have coming out. So anyway, that's my take on that.
Dimulai dari jam berapa Tio? Tadi kita dari Garut jam berapa? Gimana? Jam 9. Oh, dari rumah jam 9 malam. Jam 9 malam dari Banjarwangi sih aja ya. Terus dari Garut jam 3 subuh dan ini ternyata di Jakarta macet. The one and only. Telur bebek ini maaf pakai plastik karena tadi gak ada ininya. Diwadahan karena sama ini what's in my bag. Oh, sama what's in my bag. What's in my bag. Ini adalah casan. Oh, ini casan dan power bank. Terus ini adalah masker. Kalau ini pakai plastik semua nggak apa-apa.
Yup.
Ada tidi tuna itu mah. Tidi tuna pula. And ini.
What is that? A sausage!
Iya, nanti buat sarapan di bandara.
Some snacks.
Terus ini paspor, uang, dan dolar. Bawa dolar
It's important.
ke Eropa. Dan ini, karena di Eropa nggak ada air, jadi harus bawa tisu basah. Udah. Sarekene sih ya Maya. Dan jaket
Oh,
polisi. Dan jaket
so
polisi.
tired.
Oh, itu jaket baru. Ini jaket baru. Tinggal itu.
Yeah, that's so cool. It's a really cool jacket.
Baru aku. Ini sebenarnya crop, tapi ini malah terlalu nge-crop.
No.
Desainnya sih bagus ya. Banyak saku-saku. Pakai manggung.
I love all the zippers and ties.
Soalnya summer jadi panas. Thank you. Tema Eropa kali ini
I don't think there's anything that is too cropped, but this probably is revealing a lot about me.
semua pakai jaket kulit, guys. Kita habis dikasih kopi. Iya, jadi kita padahal lagi dari Thailand, lagi nyari tempat dulu. Luntang lantung di mall. Tiba-tiba dipanggil, kalian kasihan gitu, enggak di mall. Katanya duduk dulu di sini katanya. Terus tiba-tiba mendapat kopi untuk bapak-bapak. Mendapat kopi, terus dapat minuman juga tadi katanya gratis. Baceprot tersebar di mana-mana. Disupport minuman pagi ini. Terima kasih banyak.
Go crew. Go team. I love that they're showing people on their team as well. That is not a very common thing for artists to do, I have to say.
Kita sekarang lagi ngumpulin data diri buat persiapan terbang ke Denmark. Kita terbangnya nanti jam 5, ini baru jam 1, baru jam 1 siang. Ini lagi pada ngumpul di bandara. Pembagian sembako. Ikuti terus perjalanan kami hanya di ini kumaha eureun nama? Baceprot. Mah eureun apa? Oh, pencet deh. What's in my bag? Lihat. Jaket. Tisu. Colokan internasional. Terus makanan. Padi mas.
Yeah, you always have to have a snack.
Transit di Dubai-nya 10 jam. Coklat. Terus parfum, skincare.
Selalu siap.
Harus. Isi masuk angin, minum ini. Terus ada ini juga. Di sini juga ada minyak kayu putih. Ada ini buat dengerin musik. Di pesawat jam berapa jam?
Di pesawat 17 jam.
17
Damn,
jam.
that's long.
Obat-obatan pribadi, dompet lah segala macam, paspor. Terus ini dia bawa ini.
Le Petit Prince.
Aku beli ini gara-gara
That looks so good.
kata Manohara ini bagus. Jadi aku beli. Nanti dibaca pas di Dubai, pas transit 9 jam. Atau nanti pas di pesawat kalau nggak pusing. Pas ini.
I bring way too many books traveling, and then all of my shit is so heavy.
Masa kalau ke luar negeri bawa apa, Marsha, kalau boleh tahu?
Bawa sangu.
Asli itu mana biaya?
Iya bawa sangu. Itu sangu instan guys. Karena orang hesenya jeung orang Banjarwangi mah mun can dahar sangu teh can makan. Jadi kudu bawa
2 box sangu.
terus sabongan teh sih nanti sama hiji.
20 atau 40 box nasi.
Sok. Ini mau ditimbang dulu. I will check my body weight. Oh, so okay. Come on, join with me. Yes. So.
Begini.
Jangan narik napasnya nambah. 5992. Kok gak diem?
Telling her to not breathe.
Betul, kenapa gedean kalau tidak? Tunggu kan ngaring. Urang mah berarti naik. Emang tadinya sabaraha?
Abi ayeuna naik abinya.
Oh, sok. Sok cenah. Let's check my frame. Oke. Alah. Oh, dia sangat begang. Wow.
I'm only putting one leg.
And let's check idiu. Ieu mah pengguna narkoba. 45 pengguna narkoba anjir pegang kieu mah. Sumpah. 45.
Bacor masa kali ewang solo gitar. Iya, Bang.
Marsha the next one. Bismillah. Ieu mah pengguna sabar 45 4 genap.
Kamu berapa?
Genep 10. Iya nya.
Ya di sini ya.
Saya akan kembali ke Garut sebagai rakyat biasa.
Ini mengantar. Non. Nog. Dua nih, ndogna pas, dua.
Forcing him to carry the eggs.
Simbolis ya otos lede ka kabeh mah.
Dadah Wisan. Dadah Syahnya. Dadah. Titip ya. Dadah. Hati-hati. Kayak ke Taiwan full tim.
Amin. Lah sulit ayat Taiwan. Ayat Taiwan. Jadi kudu gawean deh. Kayak
They made it to Dubai after that long flight.
Hai, selamat malam. Hari ini sudah di Dubai. Jam sabar aja. Jam 10.58, jam 11. Kita bakalan transit sekitar 9,5 jam di Dubai.
Buka usaha lah di Dubai ge.
Bisa.
Dagang heula di Dubai oge dagangnya bisa.
Bisa dagang ya gorengan. Bisa orang yang bala-bala wae.
Lepet.
Bakal payu di dia.
Sarapan esuk-esuk orang Dubai.
Bakal payu guys.
LGBT lepet ge bala tempe.
Dagang LGBT.
LGBT
Dadah.
trading?
Udah dulu.
Trade, you say? I'm paying attention. Showing them flying economy. They're just like us. It's like, it's not like they're unknown either, but often how like artists before they're in a certain strata of fame have to pay their way when going to all of these festivals. Welcome to Juvenile. CT.
Ntar ini naikin dulu barang guys. Tuh udah dijemput sama bapak dari KBRI.
She spelled
Terima
CT's
kasih
name
banyak,
wrong.
Bapak KBRI.
I think it only has one
Kita
T.
lagi dimasukin dulu. Alhamdulillah sudah sampai. Terima kasih Pak sudah dijemput.
Sama-sama.
Kami sedang nge-vlog.
Sama-sama.
Nge-vlog.
Oh, lagi nge-vlog ya?
Iya buat di POB.
Pak SBY.
Oh iya. Pak ada Pak Presiden di sini.
Dibantuin Pak Presiden.
I'm calling him Mr. President. He's like, okay.
Village, guys. Tuh, ke Eropa dijemput Pak SBY.
them playing Empire State of Mind, it sounds like, in the car. We have an ad starting in 2 seconds.
Sekarang kita mau workshop dulu sebentar.
I'm gonna step out for just a sec, but I'll be right back. I'll keep this playing.
Workshop kita.
Sarapan.
Sarapan geus pedas doer tingali. Sarapannya beda memang.
Her breakfast is already spicy. This is the Asian experience.
Aduh, bingung.
Nah, itu.
Sedikit dong.
Coba bentar si meatnya diturunin kali.
Kita mau OTW venue. Ini di sini jam berapa ini? Jam 2 lebih 2 menit.
Jam 2 doakan kami lancar. Ini tuh kita diantar oleh Pak Ridwan. Halo Bapak. Salam kenal ya Bapak. Jangan bosan bersama kami.
Bismillah, mudah-mudahan kepada untuk pertama kalinya kita di sini sukses. Amin. Mudah-mudahan lancar. Kita semua.
Hello, Bunso. Welcome.
Terbaik. Amin.
How are you doing?
Amin ya Allah.
We're watching an extension of Culture Corner. This is Voice of Baceprot. We've watched them quite a bit on Culture Corner, an Indonesian metal rock group. You're sad? Oh, I'm sorry. You may have lost a friend. Oh, I'm so sorry that happened. You can talk about it if you feel like it, but you also don't have to if you don't want. Sending you care.
Bismillah ya Allah, open hell.
Care and solidarity. Apparently still have boundary issues. She's the type to not talk about what bothers her until it's too late, and she exploded on me. I thought I was doing perfect because of all the praise she gave me. Oh, I mean, that's hard too when people are not communicating, you know? And also, like, I know losing friends, that's hard, but also if you feel like it's difficult to have that meeting of minds, you know? Like, you also need to be there for yourself, too. It's hard empathizing enough to understand when what I do affects others negatively. I mean, I do feel like you are thinking of other people. And also, like, if you're able to ask for the things that you need, or understanding where, like, this is a tendency that I have, and, like, trying to communicate that, and, like, people not being communicative with you. Like, it does take, like, that's the difficult part of relationships, taking everyone involved, you know? Yeah, and like what you're saying, if when you're asking if she's not communicating if something is wrong, then that makes it really difficult for you to know how to react as well. I'm sorry that's happening to you, but also know that you have people thinking about you and that it does take both sides of people to want to contribute to something, you know? Yeah, sending you care and solidarity. Please be taking care of yourself. Good, I'm glad. How am I doing? That's nice of you to ask. I'm doing all right. Today I went and got an egg cleansing done, which is done in a lot of Mexican indigenous traditions, and the reader, the seer who was doing this for me was an egg cleansing. She was able to, because I went with a couple of people, she was able to like pinpoint exactly what each of us were going through. And she was like, as soon as she like did the first part of mine, she was like, there is a spirit, an angry spirit in your home. And like an entity, and that has not passed on. And I do think like the previous person who lived here died here, and going through this place to begin with, I was like, I think this place is haunted. And so I felt validated from that, but also like she described the area in particular that I'm like, this area is cursed. And with this cleansing, she was like you also are experiencing a lot of blockages when it comes to finding a job, and which like I had not told her anything previously about my situation. And she was like, so I'm gonna do something on my end. Like she found a plant and put it in a bottle. She's like, you feel like you've been in a bottle and that like people are just like dumping things on you and you can't just control what's going on. She's like, it largely has to do with like this entity in this space that you're living. She also gave me some things to do, which I have done, and already there's like so much more light, like physical light that has been let into the space. All eyes on the West Bank. A Palestinian man defended himself and his neighbors the other day, and we all know, oh my God.
To tell you, this man is a hero. Yesterday, he and the people of his village, Tal, in the West Bank, were attacked by Israeli settler terrorists, and somehow this man managed to overpower one of the Israeli settlers, take his gun, and take out two of the Israeli terrorists who were attacking his village. If that is not self-defense, then I do not know what is. This man was being threatened by settlers who have been driving him and his people off their land for decades now, and he stood in their face unarmed and took their gun and turned it back on them. I am sure that there will be some who try and say that he shouldn't have done it because the Israelis have launched a terror campaign across the West Bank. However, to these people I say, do you blame the Jewish people who fought back during World War II? Of course you don't, because you recognize who the oppressors were in that situation, and you realize that one act of violence is in no way similar to what the oppressor is doing every single day against innocent people.
Thank you for sharing, Linton. Yeah, Free Palestine, standing in solidarity with Palestinians, the people of the Congo, people of Sudan, just really how evil it is with these political forces that are empowering these other evil acts, like the continuation of like this sanctioned violence happening by settlers, that there really is no limits to their cruelty and impunity, which I guess is what impunity means. But it really should give us all pause of understanding what it even means to value human life, if we claim to care about the existence of other people and valuing human life, and how there are certain acts that are just allowed, and it is so incredibly targeted and discriminatory, which is why it's an apartheid state. That's just what it is. Thank you for sharing. I remember hearing about this. Israeli settlers were killing Palestinian villagers under supervision of the IDF. Yeah, of like it being part of this larger genocidal project of the government, the Israeli government working along with settlers, and the settlers not having any sort of consequence for this violence when it is part of the plan. This is settler colonization that is incredibly violent when people are bent on erasing human beings. I saw the Jerusalem Post headline when trying to find his name. Oh, what was that? What was that headline? Never be forced into the position where you have to disarm your enemy in order. Yep. Yeah, of there is a reason why oppressors try to make it so it is very difficult for certain kinds of people to be armed. Why it is very difficult for certain people to even do this in what is considered quote unquote legal. Like it's not an accident that even the like conversation about gun control came about in the US specifically with the abolition of slavery, of white people, especially slave owners, being afraid of what newly freed slaves would do, what freed people would do when they actually had access to arms, and how it is incredibly racist and targeted, and it's not exclusive to the US, clearly. Ugh. And it, of course, like, this is something that the powers that be will be like, oh, but Hamas, oh, but communists, oh, but like anarchists, like all of this stuff, when it's like, why do you think there are even resistance efforts that are forced to exist to begin with? that it is necessary in making it so human beings are not just plowed down. And even still, like, that can happen, but like to have any sort of resistance and protection against the forces that be. Farouk Ramadan was his name. Okay. Thank you for sharing. Yeah, and that is such a brave act. Like, that is what it means to be heroic. Sheikh Farouk Ramadan. Yeah, of like, we need to, like, it is not an accident how this information is framed depending on the outlet, and how, like, we need to be calling settlers what they are, which are terrorists. Exactly. Free Palestine. It's times like this where, and this is one instance of so many instances of violence, nonsensical, where it just is evil, where it can make us be like, how do we even fight back against this? How do we even prevent this from happening? And I think, like, holding to the fact that we actually are having a conversation about this doesn't mean that, like, it's a replacement for organized resistance, but the fact that there's so much censorship in talking about this information, actually framing it in the way that is real, that isn't just co-opted by these political forces, and making it so that humanity is being centered, the humanity of Palestinians, where, like, this should fuel us to be more involved in local efforts when it comes to organizing for Palestinian liberation, that the liberation of Palestinians can't be separated from the fact that our governments are complicit in this genocide, that our governments are happy to see this human suffering as long as it can enrich them and enrich their donors and friends, and how, like, it is a symbol of our larger oppression globally, even though many of us are not experiencing genocide or the exact violent, horrendous conditions that Palestinians are experiencing. But, like, even the fact that, like, the Lemkin Institute came out a little bit ago and saying that trans people in the US are in the middle of experiencing genocide, of like, why can't that be talked about before we're in the middle of it? It still is not comparable to what Palestinians are going through, but also it cannot be separated from how it is so related with the governments that exist and oppressive forces that exist being bent on the eradication of certain people to maintain their political power. Israeli army tear gas journalists. There is no limit to their cruelty. There is no limit to their violence.
Fuck. Fuck. We're in the Nablus area where yesterday the Israeli army massacred 4 Palestinians in response to them defending themselves against a settler terror attack. So today the settlers are set to march through the Palestinian communities, and of course the army is there to protect them and to attack the Palestinians. Fuck. The army just tear gassed the journalists. tear gas set fires to the field, so now the Palestinians are trying to put the fires out.
Going there without a gas mask. Yeah, and unfortunately, like, that's not really an option for many people.
Yesterday, after the massacre, the Israeli settlers raided nearby Palestinian villages, burned down 7 houses just here in Sarra, as well as several cars. And of course, the army, instead of investigating that, has tear gassed the residents and the journalists. The settlers poured petrol through windows of houses like this one, and then set them on fire.
احنا كنا قاعدين كانوا المستوطنين اجوا كانوا هسه بيجوا بيقتلوا بيحرقوا ما لحقت اسد الباب واصل الشارع فوق الا هو يوم حارقين الدار كنا داخلين ننام هون يعني شو بدنا نعمل برا
It's evil. It's such evil behavior and policy of, like, each person that is acting in this way, the army, the settlers, citizens, whoever, should be held accountable and punished. And it should upset all of us to see human beings treated this way. Of, like, there is a reason why there is such intense propaganda of Zionism and the dehumanization of Palestinians, the Islamophobia that is global, the racism that exists, that it is all for this political project. The borders in the West Bank are so heavily policed, I don't think they could even get one, or enough at least, gas masks. Yeah, they have to resort to improvised type of ones probably, or even the technique of, like, putting a bucket over it. That's something that I finished watching I'm a Virgo, which is excellent. Highly recommend. How Flora, with her being, like, having the superpower of being so quick that she was able to throw back the tear gas canisters with the pigs coming to do their violent bullshit. Buckets, traffic cones, yeah, a lot of water. Israeli settlers have set fire to Palestinian homes and vehicles in villages near Nablus, as rights groups warn of mass pogroms following a deadly shootout that left at least 4 Palestinians and 2 Israelis dead on Friday morning. Yeah. Like, whatever happened to never again? This is why, like, there are so many Jewish people who have been on the forefront of this anti-genocide movement because of what they understand to be this rising sentiment, in particular on the right by fascists, to use it as a way to justify actual anti-Semitism, of legitimate violence to Jewish people, and how dangerous it is to have this conflation of Zionism and Judaism, and how the Israeli state and government regularly does this. They are the largest traffickers of anti-Semitic sentiment to the entire globe by claiming that there is anti-Semitism when there are human lives that are suffering, and how this is also something that, like, we cannot justify. Like, if you have experienced genocide, it does not justify committing a genocide. And this also just goes to show of how, like, not only strong the propaganda is, but how trauma, generational trauma, shared trauma, is weaponized by political forces.
هاي دار محفوظ مولعه باب الدار طبعا البرندة مولعينها في شباب الدار شو هو الدار انحرق يا شيخ
Yeah, these are pogroms. Following a deadly shootout that left at least 4 Palestinians and 2 Israelis dead on Friday morning. Yeah, which goes to show, like, this kind of violence is not just focused on Palestinians, which we should care about that to begin with. If you care about any sort of humanity, if you care about fellow human beings, but just goes to show how continually these violent systems of oppression with their violent policies, these colonizer tactics, and these colonizer implementations of violence, that people are hurt everywhere. Like, if Israel was actually interested in limiting anti-Semitic sentiment, anti-Semitism globally, they would stop their genocide, because it is being used to have a resurgence in legitimate anti-Semitism on the right wing, especially among young people. Residents have fled their homes as flames engulf properties and thick smoke billows over the villages. Exactly. Free Palestine. Solidarity with Palestinians. Like, seeing this should shock us every single time we see it. Of it not just being like, and this is where, like, it is good to have digital media and social media with spreading awareness on what is going on, of especially with young people even being aware of what is going on, especially with TikTok showing the genocide, but also the desensitizing that exists of, like, it is so prevalent. And if we don't, like, actually take a minute to sit with it and be uncomfortable with it, it does not force us to act. And that is part of the problem of, like, rather than just, like, turning to something that will be a pacifier for us. Palestinian kids put out tear gas within seconds is one of the most badass things I've ever seen. Yeah, they shouldn't have to fucking know how to do this in the first place. But it is heroic of forcing kids to grow up in a way that is just, I mean, there just isn't even, there aren't words for it. Yeah, it's so heroic. It's heroic and sadly necessary and common. Thank you for sharing that, Linton. With everything going on, I do want to share the music video that you were talking about. Just as I'm saying that, like, we need to sit with this. Do I have it over here? Do I have it underneath? Let me see real quick. Maybe I brought it over to this screen. Here we go. Saba and Eldon, the song Seeds.
Of the Palestinian people who are uprooted, thrown in the camps, living in starvation, killed for 20 years, forbidden to use even the name Palestinian. Better that way than this. Maybe to you.
$100 lost his house in 48. Forced out his home, bullet barely grazed his face. Took his keys and they told him pack up. So I'ma take them same keys, open that back up. Space Palestinian, I'm one of millions. Living in America, I feel like a participant. My president got blood on his hands, he's indifferent. I should probably check that list of names, probably share some DNA. But I don't got an ounce of they strength. Gaza Strip to the West Bank. And if you speak up, they gon' turn you to a target or a pawn. Look how they did them boys in Vermont. So I gotta double wrap my kufi so they can't see me. Cause I don't want them outside yelling free me. I swear to my last name that I need it. Even if you cut me open, dumb me full of steamy. The propaganda worked if you believe what they told you. Little boys gotta watch their whole camp get robbed, get shot. It's another soldier.
Our people could never be defeated.
Made no mistake, the people of the land won't accept our fate. They dug our graves, buried us deep. But they didn't know that we always see. في مذبحة لفلسطين كل يوم بشارع محتاجين. When you see the trees go, pay no mind. We were the seeds they left behind. They left behind. We were the seeds they left behind. We were the seeds they left behind.
Yeah, the propaganda work if they control you, hold you. You don't even know it, but they sold you. Threw me in the concrete, look at how the roads grew. We just gon' survive in the way that we supposed to. How much do our people gotta go through is told? On our way to heaven, but it's been a long road. Now if I start to resist, not a life that I chose. More message I can send, tell you I would never fall. Make no mistake, this resistance, this ain't just because we coalition. You forgot it's you who put me in this position. So we gon' take our homes back without no winning missions.
Made no mistake, the people of the land won't accept our fate. They dug our graves, buried us deep. But they didn't know that we always see. في مذبحة لفلسطين كل يوم بشارع محتاجين. When you see the trees go, pay no mind. We were the seeds they left behind. They left behind. Made no mistake, the people of the land won't accept our fate. They dug our graves, buried us deep. But they didn't know that we always see. في مذبحة لفلسطين كل يوم بشارع محتاجين. When you see the trees go, pay no mind. We were the seeds they left behind. They left behind.
Thank you for sharing, Linton. Wow. I mean, clearly, it's such incredible art and for the most noble cause. Noble as in, like, goodwill, good intentioned. Yeah, this is a low-key song. Palestine will never die.
وقف الطفل وحده والليالي ورصاص من حوله وجنود وقف الطفل والحجارة أكوام وعيناه عزمة وصمود وعيناه عزمة وصمود Ooh,
Yeah, my Khalil is so talented.
From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. From the river to the sea, free, 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 free. From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. From the river to the sea, free, free, free.
How can I start? Can't get the image out of my heart when we've seen the bodies found in a mountain of parts. Netanyahu told you just another child of the dark. Clear it's gonna take much more than thousands to march, more than a speech, more than a poem, more than a track of music. Gonna take more than a sit down with Bassem Youssef. Even bringing back ambassadors is an act that's useless long as you pump oil for Apaches and the tanks they use in freedom just beyond reach for people you cannot see. He's wheezing and cannot breathe and screaming through the concrete, looking for his 4 children. The bombs leave structures that I wouldn't want to call buildings. My fingers pointed at this government, you all killed them. Tell me that you wouldn't take up arms if those were your children. Let me make the factor clear, those bombs were manufactured here and they want the land as theirs because of natural gas in there. Feel death in the atmosphere while we hapless stand and stare, and a little boy begs for his brother's strand of hair. Truth is I don't know how anyone can live after digging for their dead kids buried under bricks. Israel is a terror state, terrorists that terrorize. I testify my television, televise, I'm telling lies. This is not a war, it is systematic genocide. But whatever they try, Palestine will never die. They're not prepared to face the pain, so they're scared to say your name. They're not prepared to face the pain, so they're scared to say your name. They're not prepared to face the pain, so they're scared to say your name.
I love this censored. Like, these are the images that we have seen. And censored under the guise of, oh, this is too violent. Well, then this should be too violent to be a reality. This should be too violent to have human beings be experiencing this. A little boy begs for his brother's strand of hair. Yeah. Just as we are talking about this is Gaza Mutual Aid, and it's a collective. I know that there are so many individual mutual aid funds as well, or like Palestine Action. Wait, that's not what I was looking for. I don't know why it's not letting me share this.
Churches and paramedics is hurting, the panic spreading. Hospitals where the doctors do C-sections, no anesthetics. The pressure is manifesting, humanity stands connected. Masses seem apathetic and actually just accept it. When our grandchildren ask us, what did we do to stop it? I'm determined to say I did more than make music on it. It's why we shut down arms factories. You can try stopping us. Palestine Action's the opposite of white phosphorus. We tell them on the television, but they never listen. Tell Piers Morgan that resistance isn't terrorism. They want them fled or missing, death or prison, endless killing. I seen a father hold his baby up, the head was missing. Imagine demolition of home where your parents living. Kings won't say a thing, but at least we know that Yemen's with them. Ethnic cleansing, it ain't hard to see the stages, but Gaza al-Azza, graveyard of the invaders. Ears close to the savagery, clear though when there's clarity. The journalists and doctors are heroes of humanity, as sordid and as gory as this story is for now. Are they depopulating Gaza for Ben Gurion's canal? Israel is a terror state, terrorists that terrorize. I testify my television, televise, I'm telling lies. This is not a war, it is systematic genocide. But whatever they try, Palestine will never die.
وشدوا على أياديكم وأبوس الأرض تحت نعالكم وأقول from the river to the sea Palestine will be free from the river to the sea free 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 from the river to the sea Palestine will be free from the river to the sea free 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 free
والله ما معروفين بالقتل قتلوا الأطفال قتلوا النساء لن نستسلم ولن نرحل من هذه الأرض بل سنتقدم إلى أرضنا إلى بلادنا إلى فلسطين.
Yeah, free Palestine. This is something that I saw the other day. Boy in Gaza feeds hundreds of stray animals every day. So while all this is happening, it's like it means that we need to be engaged with anti-genocide movements, pro-Palestinian movements locally, and engaging in ways that move the needle, but also how this is the most momentum the anti-genocide movement has had. The pro-Palestine movement, even getting more awareness about the genocide in Sudan and the Congo, in Sudan, that being the world's worst humanitarian crisis, and we see what's happening to Palestinians. But I wanted to play this. This is showing how even entities, outlets, I guess, is this an outlet? I don't know. But creators, channels that normally would not be even talking about this are focusing on the humanity of Palestinians more. And that is something to hold on to, in addition to the work that we need to be doing organizing.
As soon as he sets his school bag down, hundreds of dogs and cats emerge from hiding.
Boy in Gaza feeds hundreds of stray animals every day.
Some come running to greet him. Others quietly wait nearby. Keeping up this routine isn't always easy. There have been days where he and his father had to change their route or leave suddenly to stay safe.
Hello, my dear friends and followers. I am still continuing my humanitarian mission with animals.
Abdullah's days begin with school whenever classes are available, as there are so many students and only a few schools left. He's still a kid, but his days are filled with responsibilities most children never have to think about, like looking for essentials like firewood and water for his mom to be able to make food.
So strong, the embodiment of Samud. Yeah.
And yet somehow between all of that, he made room for one more commitment.
Hello everyone.
Like every excuse to not be engaging in this kind of work, which really just goes to show of like with all of everything that he is experiencing, that everyone else is experiencing, of like these moments of just utter kindness and a demonstration of what it means to be good, like actually good and moral.
I am Abdullah Rabi from Gaza. I work to help study animals.
When the war began, Abdullah started noticing more and more dogs and cats wandering the streets alone. Many had lost their homes, some lost the people who once cared for them. Finding food had become difficult, and seeing them struggle, Abdullah knew he wanted to help. It wasn't easy to convince his family to let him do that. They were worried for obvious reasons.
Yeah. Time, resources, putting himself in danger.
Abdullah was determined. And 3 years later, feeding stray animals is still part of his everyday routine, and his dad's, as he comes with him. Over the years, he and his family have rescued and adopted 12 cats, who now live with them. You know, Abdullah says that animals can't let you know if they're hungry or sick. They can't ask for help, so he actively seeks them out. Abdullah shared that there are many things in his life that feel uncertain, but there's one thing that he knows for sure.
His jacket said icon. Yeah. Yeah.
And that is that he is going to keep helping animals for as long as he can. And after 3 years of showing up for them every single day, it's hard to doubt him.
I hope you talk about me and be the voice and the voiceless. Hello, my dear friends and followers. I love you so much.
Like even something like the dodo that normally does not engage in any sort of political discourse, that they are paying attention. Letter to the IDF featuring Wax. It's by Mike Righteous. The most harrowing part of this video is knowing there are some people who've watched this video that can find more empathy for the animals than the people. A picture by Javier Balus on the beaches of Tarifa made me see. Some would grieve more if Ahmed was a creature with 4 legs. Yep. And they would consider him legitimate, like him braving barbed wire burning off their fingertips. Yeah, exactly. Thank you for calling that out too. Yeah. Of like, it shows the goodness that he has, but also that exactly that is what dehumanization does.
I can't understand the minds of violent men with no value for life or death. That's why I write with tears in my eyes and a fire inside my pen. I said, this is a letter to the IDF, the colonizers of white descent, the war criminals committing genocide again. I wrote this letter for the tyrants, I write it to them. I ain't expecting a reply, you only lie again. Just like you lied in the propaganda that you tried to spread. You occupy the land with an iron fist, you don't abide the law, it doesn't apply to you. You just do whatever Biden says. Your flag might as well be star stripes, blue, white and red. Red for all of the blood that you like to shed. It's apartheid, you can't climb the barbed wire fence. How many civilians are still living in prison without even being charged of any kind of offence? The real crime is that you try to justify your genocide like it's a right I'm defending. But where's a Palestinian's right to defend when his child is dead? If that was my family, I'd want my revenge. What's a rock to a rocket from a fighter jet? How can a land that you managed to control and occupy be any kind of threat? Or did you target Palestinian civilians from miles away and indiscriminately bomb the entire place? Israel was a terror state that I condemn, and all that military money can't buy your strength. I said, Israel was a terror state that I condemn, and all the military money in the world couldn't buy your strength. For every child that you sacrifice will rise again and fly into paradise with the widest wings. You try to raise a name, but Palestine's gonna rise again. Try to raise a name, but Gaza's gonna rise again. And I'ma scream free Palestine until my final breath. I wrote this for the IDF. You can never kill Palestine. It's always been free Palestine. Until my final breath. It's always been free Palestine.
Until my final breath. We are not scared of death, and you will not kill us off like Amalek. We will rise from the ashes and beyond the depths. Like Righteous said, this a letter to the IDF. Would you bomb Tel Aviv if Hamas was there? What's a Palestinian's life worth? Let's be clear. Children are innocent, you kill them in an instant. Your hearts are in disrepair. This a letter to Netanyahu, a right to him. You're an Ashkenazi Nazi terrorist. You don't want to cease fire, you just want to cease life. Maybe you should retire, maybe you should face life. You don't want no two states. Nah, I guess that makes you two-faced. Yeah, you can murder in plain sight, but you cannot kill Palestine.
I was trying to look up lyrics to that song just to have it going while we were watching, and I couldn't find it, but yeah. Free Palestine. It really just highlights how important advocacy is. It's not an accident that the people who are speaking out for Palestinian liberation are also being targeted by governments that are complicit and funding and actively vested in this genocide. And how it is not exclusive to Palestine, this devastation of it happening in Sudan and the Congo, but how particularly Western nations, especially colonizers, are very wrapped up into what is happening to Palestinians. Thank you for sharing those, Linton. It's like, and people wonder why, like, especially people in older generations, or especially people in the ruling class in these nation states that we're in, why there is plummeting sentiment against the nation state of Israel. It's because there are things that people have seen that are undeniable. And how if we have any sort of human kindness in our hearts, any sort of modicum of empathy, that it should be radicalizing. It's like one thing to hold on to is how the tide is turning, that it is more of a common sentiment for the average person on this globe, on this spinning rock in space, to be on the side of Palestinians. But the momentum needs to be building. And how we talk about here when fascists and colonizers, white supremacists, when people who have built all of their sense of privilege and sense of worth off of these hierarchies of human dignity, that they feel their power slipping, they become even more violent. Yes, I'm so glad you shared this. This was another one that I've been wanting to go over for Culture Corner until we're all free for release. We do have an ad starting in 5 seconds. I've snoozed some of them, but this is the last one I could not snooze.
Take it from me, but I wanna be free. Just a kid trying to be, when will you cease?
From Gaza to Gattaca, we keep it radical. Where's Tony's morals? I think a sabbatical. How did this catapult slinging my shot? Like it or not, I keep it factual. They killing kids while we kick it back and score. Tell me what gives. Are you not mad at all? This ain't go swim. I'm jumping in. I'ma be screaming like cannonball.
I see more from beneath the smoke than your dreams entail. Dreading hope. I heard their cries when the lights go out. Laughing once, they ain't breathing now. Midsummer dreams on which I grown. Bleeding out, losing hope. My ancestry ain't what's been wrong. You just a disease, don't call this home.
Say you'll fight our land, our right till the end of time, until we're all free. From the river to the sea. Take it from me, but I wanna be free.
Yeah, a ceasefire and an actual ceasefire. Not a so-called ceasefire that has supposedly been happening when there are thousands of Palestinians that have been killed. I think I found some of the artists here too. By Serene, Dobby, BVT, Kid Pharaoh, Zidala, Elfresh the Lion, Jill Cheney, Dem Mob, Misa, Sarah Sale 7, MC Trey. Yeah, if there are any that were missed, do drop them in the chat.
Just a kid trying to be, when will you cease? Say we're born equal, are bombing our people. Take another life for some profit. Death in custody, another Nakba. While they're lining their pockets, vote for these so-called leaders who always betray us. I guess they're all puppets. Enough is enough without death and destruction. We fight for peace, love and justice.
Fear no man but the one above Rasi. None made of flesh could come and never harm me. No knife could scar me, no bullet could jar me. I fear the Lord, how could I fear armies? With that blood on your hands, I still do my dance. I'm singing my chants right here on my land. These my people where their weight in gold. Come kill my body but can't take my soul.
Walk in solidarity, there is no apathy. On invasion day, break the chains, set us free. Speaking some equality, spite of the policies. Sears create another shared victory. Yeah, well it's a cry for peace. Ceasefire streets, tensions release. It's time to speak, no broken dreams. Let the war cease, we all set it free.
Say you'll fight our land, our right till the end of time, until we're all free. From the river to the sea.
Big Rigs, Jafar.
The other hand ain't taking human life. Say democracy, but given no choice. Freedom of speech, but silence in voice. Hypocrisy reaps, they bombing for peace. No water, no food, got nothing to eat. Actions speak loud, talking is cheap. Ceasefire now, may there be peace.
Yo,
many killed by your
hands.
Way more than you could
understand. Even your kids see what you got planned. So I've got my fist up, get off their land. Put up a peace sign that confiscate. Yell out ceasefire, then take my pay. You can do anything to save your face. I got your name down in history's page.
Say you'll fight.
These are all their, like, government names.
Until we're all free. From the river to the sea. Just a kid trying to be, when will you see? You can't break us. Our resistance justified. Can't colonize our hearts. We won't be terrorized. We'll keep fighting for stolen lands you occupy. Revolution never dies, for we will always already have to kill for. It will never be we will always
Oh, I'm way off. There we go.
أصلي إيدي على الكعبة ما بترك أرضي صهيوني ماسك مفتاحي في إيدي قلبي وسلاحي You better run جايين cowards with guns خايفين نحرر هالأرض راجعين ولك هذا فرض
Yo, 788 so much pain 948 ain't shit changed but the names
Peak the game, play the same burn the demons, down with flames pushing World War
That's
III
cool.
for the prophet
Thank you
sheep
for
breaking out
including
bodies
that one,
can't break
Tim.
dreams 2024 beat the drums the wall but we don't want your war
The world watches why Gaza get bombed, we all one piece. But the war carries on for how long? And why do innocent children die? Did a mother have to cry? Did a father have to curse? Why? News corps sympathize, fears for lies. But the truth is in the sky when there's nowhere to run. And as the smoke clears out, they did it to colonize. It's genocide. Ceasefire!
take it from me but I wanna be free ceasefire ceasefire now ceasefire now ceasefire now just a kid trying to be when will you cease
Free Palestine. Thank you for sharing, Linton. That really is such a powerful song. And I mean, I was gonna say something, but I don't think I can add anything to that. Yeah, if you can, please give to the Mutual Aid Fund. Our liberation is so connected. It's not an accident that part of the reason why these billionaire fascists are buying up news and entertainment outlets and platforms and social media platforms, it's because they want to control and to be able to insert and create their own narratives. But a large part of that has been the advocacy and humanity of Palestinians and for the Palestinian cause, and how people are waking up and have been waking up to it. And we just need to keep pushing. It's easy to feel like all of this is for naught, or how we can all be so helpless as individuals, but why, when we are a collective, that is where we have our power. We were watching The Road to Copenhagen. It's a vlog by Voice of Baceprot, but even though it's in the middle of the vlog, I think it is particularly pertinent to be talking about the tactics of colonizers, and how this is a pattern of behavior. I have so many fucking windows open. This is an issue. Okay. Just because, if there are still people, I mean, many of us who are, if you're here watching this shit, watching whatever I'm doing on whatever this is, you are aware of colonization, that it has been a force of violence and evil, and it is deeply political to dehumanize groups of people, to justify the stealing of land, extraction of resources, the erasure of human beings and culture, but how this is a pattern and how we need to be talking about continued colonization, that it's not something in the past, which I've seen even like some so-called leftists talk about things online and saying like, oh, like colonization was something that happened back with like King Leopold and such. And it's like, yeah, and he's a shithead. And how about we talk about how awful that was? But it's not just this specific time period. It's a continuation because of what we are seeing happening in Palestine, what we are seeing happening in Sudan, what we are seeing happening in the Congo, what we are seeing happening with ICE and this ethnic cleansing project that is a continuation of what has been happening with the stealing of land and extraction of resources and genocide and ethnic cleansing of Turtle Island. So this is a video that is called Scots, Irish, and the Ethnic Cleansing of James VI, because we are reading Macbeth, and the introduction that we are reading is it falls far short of a decolonizing lens, which I think is necessary in order to even realize the nefarious nature of appealing to the ruling class, especially with Shakespeare appealing to King James, newly in power, of wanting to be on the side of a genocidal force, and how King James at the same time wanted to revere his own Scottish ancestry while ignoring the ethnic cleansing of his own people because he was noble and not affected by that shit, and that it is necessary to set aside that in order to be part of this English colonizing force if he wanted to be king, and how he, King James, in this time period, he was the one that sanctioned the creation of Jamestown in Virginia. Was this Virginia? Oh my god. Yes, it is. It's like, oh no, I don't want to say something and then be completely wrong. Jesus Christ, because I'm emotional at this time. But how the colonization of Jamestown, this is a continuation of settler colonization, and it cannot be separated from everything that is going on currently and the story of Macbeth and the colonization of the Scottish people. You gotta go. Thanks for being here, Linton. Oh, it's so late. Thanks for being here this whole time, and also for sharing the amazing links and art and videos that you did pre-Palestine. Have a good rest of your night. Okay. Let's continue this. Or let's start this, I guess I should say.
I've been making a series of short videos about the ethnic cleansing of James VI. And in this video, I'm
Thanks for
going to try
being
and
here.
summarise those actions
Good seeing
that
you.
more
Take
than
care of
any other
yourself.
still resonate to this day, which is why I've brought you to Ireland. Britain, Northern Ireland, Ulster, shit! Can I just say New Scotland?
No, you cannot. Get on with it.
If you're interested in the people, places and events in Scottish history, then click the subscribe button at the bottom right of the screen. In the meantime, let me tell you the story. The difficulty in knowing what to call this place shows just how traumatic the impact of a policy implemented by our cute and cuddly James VI of Scotland after he'd become the
Cute
hideous
and
and
cuddly.
horrific James
This
the
is
First of
sarcasm,
England.
by the
So
way.
remember as we go, anything good, Scottish. Anything bad, English. If you're not sure, British. If it makes you want to cry, sing or cross an ocean, it's probably Irish. Joking aside, if you've watched my other videos on the ethnic cleansing of James VI, you'll have worked out that the events that I'm about to describe weren't unique. They were a continuation of something that started when he was King of Scots. He didn't think much of the Gaels, a barbarous people with a barbarous tongue that needed to be civilised or extirpated. Now, until 1603, the Gaels that he hated were in the Highlands and Islands of Scotland. When he became King of England, he had a whole new bunch of Gaels to civilise through dispossession. But why here? Why not in the south of Ireland? Why Ulster? Let me explain. The English crown began Irish colonisation way back in the time of Henry II, whose son was Richard the Lion of the Crusades. His brother would become King John or Robin Hood. You get the picture. The English power base was in and around Dublin. Controlling the rest of Ireland was always challenging. And here in Ulster, the O'Neills of Tyrone were particularly challenging. They'd brought Scots over to get rid of the English during the reign of Robert the Bruce. I've got a video about that. 250 years later, at the end of Elizabeth of England's reign, Hugh O'Neill, Earl of Tyrone, was at it again. Which begs the question, when's the right time to give in to invaders? When should the people of Ukraine give up? At what point do you say, okay, I accept the change. I'll speak your language instead of mine, wear your clothes, follow your rules and customs. How long should we hold out?
The people of
If Hitler
Palestine.
had successfully invaded the British Isles, should we have put up resistance or just accept Nazi rule? How long does it make sense to resist? A year? 2 years? 10 years? Not a generation, surely. If your dad was killed by Nazi invaders, you should be over it by now, right? I'm not positing an answer. I'm posing a question. I don't know the answer. Now, you might say that I've chosen an extreme example. I'd say I'm choosing an example that's recognisable. Which invading regimes didn't demonstrate brutality? Romans? Mongols? Normans? Spanish, French, British, Americans, Russians, Chinese? The O'Neills certainly committed brutal acts. Hugh O'Neill, that we're on about, committed brutalities, duplicities and authoritarian policies. He sided first for and then against the English government. The bit that was against was the 9 Years' War, which lasted a while. Now, we don't have 9 years, so long story short, O'Neill and his Irish allies enlisted the support of the Spanish against the English. But it all ended with Hugh O'Neill as the last holdout finally surrendering to Queen Elizabeth's representative on the 30th of March 1603, not realising that she died 6 days earlier. Damn it! Always check for a pulse. Enter James VI. Now first, the man credited with the plantations in Ulster, the Ulster Scots, Scotch Irish.
Hello, Aza Chap. The gaming Zachap. That's what this account is, I think. Welcome, readers. Good to see you. Texture Splunky. Good to have you. How are things? You remember this place? Oh. Welcome, Junk Saint. Good to see you. How are you all doing? What were we talking about on Zach's stream today? And Cat, too. Yeah, I have like a bowl of popcorn on my desk. She's currently sniffing it out. She does like popcorn, I think, but I have to make sure it's one without like a kernel in it so she doesn't choke. Teeny, here you go. Hello, Coz. Welcome. Good to see you. we've been talking about a variety of things. I think most of you are familiar with what this place is, whatever this is, an attempt at providing education, advocacy, and a little common sense in this digital wasteland. I'm Aubri Devashrayee. No, she keeps trying to eat the ones that have more kernels in them. Teeny. Zach said a bunch of bullshit all day. Sounds like a good Zachap stream. Welcome. Glad to have you. I know you do. I know you love it there. I also love it there, which is why you can say such things and why I'm allowing such things here. Otherwise, I would be like, you're banished. Sorry. Today we have had a continuation of Culture Corner. That's something I normally do on Fridays. But because I'm feeling cheeky, I'm streaming on a Saturday evening, at least where I'm located in the hellscape of the US. But, you know, there are worse places that we can be existing. And so we were talking about the voice of Baceprot. I don't know if you all know who they are. They are a female metal band from Indonesia. They are incredibly politically aware and involved. They have some really great music. I highly recommend their art. I also share all of the stream links in our Discord if you're interested in joining. I do have a form that you have to fill out, and I don't care if that annoys you, but if you want to join the Discord to get all of these links, feel free to. Just be sure to include, like, how you hear about the Discord or how you heard about it is from Twitch, and then also include your username, just so I know who you are and I don't let in fascists who will pollute the place. So there we go. We also so we were talking about a lot of their art, and also pro-Palestine art and artists that especially with, you know, continuing news of this continuing genocide and ethnic cleansing, that it is a continuation of colonization and these projects by oppressors who are vested in politicizing the human worth of people, and that this is a continuation in history, a pattern of what has been happening. That colonization didn't just happen in a previous time. The fact that we have these genocides happening to Palestinians, Sudanese people, people in the Congo, that it is a result of modern colonization, especially as we have talked about ICE and their fascist ethnic cleansing that is rooted in colonization, the stealing of land and extraction of resources, the genocide and ethnic cleansing of indigenous people on Turtle Island, that this behavior has to be framed as a continued colonization of this place. So we are also reading Macbeth, and I promise this is related because around the time that Macbeth was written by Shakespeare, this is when King James the First of England, the Sixth of Scotland, came into power. He was embarking on the settler colonization of the Americas, and also how he wanted to embrace his Scottish ancestry while also somehow like siding with the colonizer by being the English king, that this cannot be separated from, you know, complicity and the erasure of genocide and colonization. And that, like, just because he wanted to have like pride in a certain thing, but then also denying history, that this is what ethnic cleansing is as well. Not only human lives that are erased, but the history and culture that is involved and how Shakespeare appealed to this sensibility. There are moments where he has people in the working class, like characters that are speaking to the common people in language that the ruling class wouldn't understand, but he really is appealing to King James and his colonizer sensibility in Macbeth, and we need some historical decolonizing context, and so this is where I wanted to provide some of that before getting into more of the reading. So Scots, Irish, and the ethnic cleansing of James VI. That's what we are currently watching. But anyway, thank you all for being here. Good to have you here.
Call them what you will. The ones that ultimately led to Orangemen in Ireland and
Feel free to insert your opinions, historical references,
James wasn't the first to attempt to plant
but also
Protestants in
no
Ireland.
pressure if you would rather watch or lurk.
And disastrous results. James himself had tried the same tactics against his Gaels in the Highlands and Islands. If you want to know how, you'll need to watch my other videos on the ethnic cleansing of James VI. All I'll say is that he was now more cautious.
He was really sleepy, so we made him dip and sleep. Zach.
And now Scots in this troublesome northern part of Ireland, so recently cowed after the 9 Years' War.
Oh, he streams for such a long time.
Rebels had been allowed to keep their lands as
I hope he's okay. I'm glad you did that for him. Jesus.
To settle these civilized English-speaking Protestants. If you watch my video, Who Started the Scotch Irish, I talk about the private plantation and settlement that was making the...
Yeah, so this is the channel Scotland History Tours, and he does a pretty good job of actually talking about history that is not commonly taught in schools. I'm not from the UK. I don't know if you could tell by the way I'm speaking, or the way I'm not speaking. So I'm not familiar with all of the curriculum, but I do know that colonizers tend to tell a colonized history. Imagine that. So if you are interested in checking out his content, he has some good stuff. Are you Northeast American states? I'm in accent-wise. I am in Utah, so whatever that means. It's not really the Midwest. It's not really like the Southeast. It's kind of in the middle, but a little bit to the east. Mostly it's just poor taste. At least the colonized version of Utah is poor taste. So that's... But I also, because I'm a nerd, maybe don't speak in very like overt Utah accent. So I don't know what that means, but I guess you can be the deciding factor.
Eastern counties of Down and Antrim, the most Scottish in Ulster. And two of the guys that I mention in it were the English Deputy Governor of Ireland and the Scotsman who would be appointed Bishop of Derry. And between them, they made life more and more difficult for Hugh O'Neill, Earl of Tyrone, and his pal, the Earl of Tyrconnell. Now remember, this was the time of Guy Fawkes and the Gunpowder Plot. Catholic-Protestant tension was at a high. James's trust of Catholics was at a low. Eventually,
my birthday is Guy Fawkes Day, and I like that. I feel like that works for me. That was intrusive. No, I'm fine with that. Because you sound sort of familiar. Oh, okay. Interesting. Yeah, I don't know what my accent is, but it's probably just pretentious, if we're being honest. Which I'll own. That's fair. I'll take that. What part of... Oh, wait, you already just said Southeast Canada. Cool. Welcome. Yeah. I have a box in here for Juniper. Because sometimes she likes to get in it, like what she's doing now. But I saw somewhere the other day that was like having a cat or cats is really just like having like random pieces of trash around your home because your cat or cats are playing with them. And I'm like, yeah, that tracks. So she's just sitting in this box. You look very cute. We also have some new emotes created by Linton, who just had to dip, but Juniper is featured in some of these emotes, as well as Kit, my other cat.
At the humiliation, or possibly genuine fear that the crown were going to come after their lives, the Earl of Tyrone, the Earl of Tyrconnell, and around 60 of their followers set off in a ship to Europe on the 4th of September 1607, and they never came back. They call this the Flight of the Earls. Now, it couldn't have worked out better for James. With the Gaelic nobility gone, these departing earls could be convicted of treason and their lands seized. Now James had land to hand out to those warm, cuddly, English-speaking Protestants. Even better, the next year, the Lord of Enshone was at his wits' end with the governor of Derry, and he started another hopelessly doomed rebellion. Did we decide
The S was a
when the right time
typo,
to
by
get
the
it was?
way. Is it as in with the Southeast Canadian? Or Canadians? I understood what you were trying to say. Are there people who... I'm French because I defend... Oh, okay. No, you're good. I defend French racism. Just a coincidence. You defend French racism? What does that mean? Of French people or like the Quebecois? What does that mean?
James now had more lands to hand out. So, in an arduous process, up to 1610, a scheme was worked out whereby big chunks of Ulster were divided up into estates, which would be taken
Oh. So being against the French. Okay. No, you didn't phrase that poorly. I think that the way that's worded, it can be taken like either way of like, yeah, racism against the French or French people being racist. Yeah. You know, another colonizer. This is what we're dealing with. I mostly don't like how hip it is to hate French people. I mean, honestly, I think like we can separate like a government. I mean, we should like call out if people are like internalizing these like colonized systems and acting in a way that is like the colonizer, but also like there are some French people that do not do that. Like, have they even met any? Yeah, I think that's a pretty common thing of people who have not encountered any French people. So, like, that doesn't mean that, like, I mean, wherever you go in the world, but especially, like, if the history of a country has, like, they've been a colonizer, especially, that there can't be, like, you know, colonizer sentiments that still exist within policy and within the people. But yeah, that doesn't mean that like all people are like that. We need to have a distinction there. I'm with you.
English gentlemen of means, not nobility, but lairds. They were called undertakers. They had to bring in Scots and or English tenants to settle and farm the land, but no Irish. In fact, it was a stipulated condition that the undertaker had to build a defensible castle, tower or strong house to protect against the locals. Each county would be divided roughly into 5 precincts, 2 for the Scots and the rest for the English. You see, James
Not
wanted
French,
each
by the way.
county to
Okay.
contain a mixture
You're
of
just an
Scots and
advocate.
English. You see, he wanted to show that these two kingdoms could come together. And by civilising the Irish Gaels into
I would say being the
English-speaking
devil's
Protestants,
advocate, but
preferably
also
Episcopalians,
maybe that isn't helping
forced
your
them into a
cause.
single unified
calling
culture
French
of
people the
Britishness.
devil.
And if this social experiment could be made to succeed in the most difficult of his three kingdoms, then why not all over? Oh, what a glorious legacy of unity he'd leave. And the symbol of unity and harmony would be the north of Ireland. Now, if you're in Scotland, the trip across the Irish Sea seems easier than if you're in England.
I mean, I don't know. I think it's easy to paint people with a broad brush, which doesn't mean that, like, I can't do that. You know, at times of, like, how we talk about white people or whatever. Like how I was even saying at the beginning of the stream, I have wet hair. I have, like, a hair mask on. I'm like, this is my white side of me coming out that I have wet hair. But that doesn't mean that, like, all white people walk around with wet hair. And also I'm like, I'm taking care of my hair. I don't even care. Anyway. But honestly, I think most of the time I'm like, I think we need to be a judge of, like, have you met every person that is French then? Like, sizing up people individually. I feel like that's the most fair approach, you know, while also calling out that there are certain, like, nation states and their history and their policies that make it much harder for people to not, like, internalize these systems, or people can't be conditioned to act in certain ways, which isn't to say that there shouldn't be accountability for people acting in that manner. But yeah. I hate on English because I'm English. Same reasons. I find it's hip in internet culture to hate on French openly. Interesting. Maybe also because I'm, like, not, even though I stream, this is the irony with me, is that being on a digital platform, I really do not care about social media. I really don't give a fuck, and I haven't really. And I think that can be really annoying to people, but I don't care. Yeah. So mostly I'm like, why do people just want to conform? I feel like that's the larger issue. Like, are you saying things just because you want to fit in, or are you saying things because you believe it? That's my take. Probably mixing some terms, but you feel me. Yeah, and also the fact that, like, being French is more of, like, an ethnicity than it is more of, like, being racialized specifically, of, like dealing with, like, not to say that there aren't elements of race of, like, people, like, France being a very diverse place, or even the amount of people in the world who speak French. Largely that has to do with the fact that the French colonized the world, especially the continent of Africa. But, or, like, that you can't have racism that exists in France or in French speaking places. But yeah, mostly it's like, I think we need to size people up individually. Yeah, I think I get what you're saying. Of, like, it's just, like, a cool thing to do. That's interesting. Yeah, I don't know that has common on Twitch. There are many things that I don't really know what are common, even though I follow quite a few streamers and like to support fellow streamers. I'm not one to be, like, lost in the comments a lot. So or chat, see? For whatever that's worth. No, you're good. I like having discussions. That's why I like doing this.
Let's be honest, a lowland Scot probably has less opportunities to hold him back than his English counterpart, so uprooting yourself to cross the Irish Sea seems more attractive to the Scots, and they applied in large numbers. Now, that doesn't mean that a new start across the sea was easy.
We do have an ad starting in less than a minute.
Have you ever watched one of those
Subscribers do not have to deal with this bullshit.
decide whether to emigrate
Unfortunately,
to Australia
this
or New
is
Zealand, and they're trying to work out if they
something I'm dependent on at the moment for a little more income, so
they're made to watch
we're
some video
all
footage of
dealing
a
with it, I
family
guess.
greeting it in the camera. Shona, don't leave us. Let your man go alone. He was never good enough for you. We'll look after the bairns. He snogged your sister at the wedding reception. I still live in the same county today as I grew up in. And barring my college days, I've never lived more than a 50-mile radius from my birthplace. You won't catch me leaving Scotland for sunshine and a better way of life. Screw that. But imagine what it would have been like
that random stock footage that he just showed.
To cut new land where the landlord was...
Seems like that's more of a departure from the other things he's shown. I mean, he has shown some stock things, but that was like very, very traditional looking.
By law to build a big protective house for himself because the locals are so hostile that they've only just finished a killing war because of folk like you. And to top it all, when you get there, it'll still be raining. Now, if that sounds challenging, would you rather be one of the indigenous people? Thrown off the land, replaced by those foreign-tongued, haughty-nosed, sharp-elbowed, teeth-bearing interlopers as you try to scratch survival on the edges? 400 years later, the descendants of those locals still resent the loss of independence and cultural change that migration brought. Of course, the descendants of the migrants have now been there for 400 years, and they fear a swing back. And aren't they entitled to be there and protect their culture and way of life as they have done for 400 years? When is the time to accept change? Is compromise defeat? I don't know. Truth be told, large chunks of both of these groups have buggered off around the world and faced change anyway. As a tour guide, a few years ago, I was driving a lovely elderly American couple around Skye, and they couldn't understand the big problem of resolving the current Brexit problem in that particular week.
Oh, God.
I explained.
I'm about to paint Americans with a broad brush, specifically Americans with enough expendable income to be able to travel, usually part of a certain class, usually part of a certain age group, let's be honest. The Americans that travel abroad really just need to be stopped most of the time. It really is abhorrent behavior most of the time of like, we have to impose our culture on everyone else. That's like this internalizing of American imperialism and expecting the world to bend around them, talking in loud ways that are extremely disruptive, being incredibly ignorant, placing their bodies in the middle of walkways, having no spatial awareness. This is something I'm calling out, and it needs to be fixed. And until the American empire falls and we don't have as many class disparities and wealth disparities in the US, I don't see this changing. So, I mean, we're in the fall of empire, so that's great, except for the fall of empire is an extremely violent situation, particularly for people in the working class, so there's that. And the people who are traveling, sadly, are some of the last people to be affected in this petty bourgeois second to the ruling class. So calling that out, because on behalf of Americans, I mean, if I travel, I try to be respectful and behave myself, but I apologize. I know this doesn't fix anything and won't fix anything, but there you go.
If the UK left the EU, then there had to be customs borders between the UK and the EU. But that meant a customs border between Northern Ireland and the Republic of Ireland to the south. Well, one side in the Northern Ireland debate would never let that happen. So the suggestion was, why don't we do the customs checks in the boats crossing the Irish Sea, in between Great Britain and Ireland, leaving the whole island of Ireland as a single unit? Oh, well, the other side in Northern Ireland would die before they'd allow that. The situation was that a decision made by voters in England and Wales meant that people in Ireland faced the potential of a violent and embittered stalemate because of a flood of Presbyterians from Scotland 400 years ago. One of the most interminable problems of Brexit faced by the government of the United Kingdom was coping with James's attempt to create the United Kingdom 400 years ago. But it was really just a continuation of the policy of plantation and ethnic cleansing of Gaels on the Isle of Lewis a decade before. I'm going to leave a link to my video on that in a second, but first, a question. Brexit, Irish unity, Scottish independence, Aboriginal land rights, cultural imperialism, Highland clearance, racial oppression, imperialist oppression, class struggle, name your hot button issue of choice. At what point is it right to accept defeat? If you want to know about the ethnic cleansing of James VI, then there's another video coming up on screen now. In the meantime, Hammy and Doch is going to be lamb alive. Cheerio and Rasta.
All right. This is something that I am wanting to talk about next week. What they don't say about the massacre of Glencoe. For me, it's more about how if you meet anyone French, any bad behavior is accepted to be blamed on that. Not so with anyone speaking English. That's what grinds my gears. Oh, interesting. Huh. I didn't know that was like a common thing these days. Because you really could say that about like any person from like a colonizer nation state. I don't know. Yeah, I think it's best to judge people individually. I think it's good, especially for people who experience marginalization and intersections of marginalization. Sometimes, you know, there can be judgments made in order for self-preservation and safety. That is fair. Of like, you know, avoiding like predominantly white spaces and stuff, but I know that's like not necessarily what you're referring to. Okay. Shall we finish this introduction of Macbeth? We only have a little bit left. And then I'm gonna get the hell out of here. Does that sound good? Okay. So this introduction is very colonized in particular. So, that's why, like, I mean, we focus on decolonization here on this stream, but also why it's especially important to bring it into this conversation of the so-called divine right of kings and how this plays a role in Shakespeare appealing to a colonizer's sensibility in order to have his art made, but also, like, do you have to go in that hard, Bill? Really? All right. So we have been talking about Macbeth having some regrets about, okay, spoilers. If you don't want spoilers for Macbeth, then I don't know where you've been. That's a rude thing to say. Also, not everyone is exposed to Shakespeare, so who cares? But also, what was I saying? There are going to be spoilers. That's what I mean. Oh yeah. Macbeth deals with some regret with his murder of King Duncan, and this is supposed to be the ultimate crime of regicide, meaning killing a king. And I think the biggest crime is that Macbeth killed the king and then took power for himself and was not interested in distributing wealth or power. Okay. Much of the play transpires on the border between fantasy and reality, a sickening betwixt and between, where a horrid image in the mind has the uncanny power to produce bodily effects against the use of nature. Where one mind is present to the innermost fantasies of another, where manhood threatens to vanish, and murdered men walk, and blood cannot be washed off. If these effects would be unequivocally attributed to the agency of the witches, the audience would at least have the security of a defined and focused fear. Alternatively, if the witches could be definitively could be definitively dismissed as fantasy or fraud, the audience would at least have the clear-eyed certainty of witnessing human causes in an altogether secular world. But instead, Shakespeare achieves the remarkable effect of a nebulous infection, a bleeding of the demonic into the secular, and the secular into the demonic. Also, I feel like that's rude to call the witches demonic, because there are plenty of people who are witches that, are not demonic, but there you go. And often the practices of witchcraft, people who are called witches, women, people who have autonomy, people who are practicing any sort of like matriarchal system, they are called witches, especially if they are practicing indigenous traditions. So that is a direct way to have a colonized perspective of the demonic who is viewed as demonic. The most famous instance of this effect is Lady Macbeth's great invocation of the spirits that tend on mortal thoughts. To unsex her, fill her with cruelty, make thick her blood, and exchange her milk for gall. The speech appears to be a conjuration of demonic powers, an act of witchcraft in which the murdering ministers are directed to bring about a set of changes in her body. It also is a way to appeal to the patriarchal gaze and saying, like, I'm getting rid of anything that's viewed as feminine in order to become more powerful, which is like a man. She calls these ministers sightless substances. Though invisible they are, as she conceives them, not figures of speech or projections of her mind, but objective, substantial beings or forces. Macbeth similarly seems to imagine invisible but objective forces when he speaks of the, quote, slightest couriers of the air, end quote. But the fact that the spirits she invokes are sightless already moves this passage away from the literal existence of the weird sisters, meaning the witches, and weird is a word that used to mean fate, like the fates in Greek mythology, and toward the metaphysical use of spirits in her speech of a few moments earlier. Hie thee hither, that I may pour my spirits in thine ear. The spirits she speaks of here are manifestly figurative. They refer to the bold words, the undaunted mettle, and the sexual taunts with which she intends to incite Macbeth to murder Duncan. But, like all of her expressions of will and passion, they strain toward bodily realization, even as they convey a psychic and hence invisible inwardness. That is, there is something uncannily literal about Lady Macbeth's influence on her husband, as if marital intimacy were akin to demonic possession, as if she had contrived to inhabit his mind, as if, in other words, she had literally poured her spirit in his ear. So also, this idea of, like, women who are too sexual or have too much influence or power, that they are inherently a risk to men, especially their husbands. Which also means they're a risk to patriarchy in patriarchal systems. Conversely, there is something uncannily figurative about the sightless substances she invokes, as if the spirit world, the realm of fate and metaphysical aid, were only a metaphor for her blind and murderous desires, as if the weird sisters were condensations of her own breath. In Shakespeare's plays, as in those of his contemporaries, evildoers may wreak havoc for a time, but in the final restoration of order and justice, they and their principal accomplices are almost inevitably punished. Thus, at the close, but also punished according to, like, what kinds of laws, what is viewed as morality in these systems. Thus, at the close of Macbeth, not only are Macbeth and Lady Macbeth dead, spoiler, but the victorious Malcolm also speaks of settling scores with the cruel ministers of this dead butcher and his fiend-like queen. Yet, though the play has deeply implicated the witches in Macbeth's monstrous assault on the fabric of civilized life, also colonizer language, who is viewed as civilized, who is viewed as quote-unquote savage, it is also deeply racialized. There is no gesture towards punishing them, no sign that the victors are even aware of their existence. This omission is the more striking if we recall that at the time Shakespeare wrote this play, the authorities in England and Scotland were bringing women to trial on charges of witchcraft and executing them. That's also something that we'll be talking about on the stream, probably on Monday. I won't be streaming tomorrow, but talking about the history of witch trials in Scotland and how that is very much related. Who is viewed as a witch and why? The theatrical power of Macbeth seems bound up with its refusal to resolve the questions raised by the witches, which is also a very Shakespearean thing to do, to not have like a neatly tied up ending, to have some ambiguity. At once marginal and central to the play, they are only briefly and intermittently on stage, but they are still suggestively present when we cannot see them, when the threats they embody are absorbed in the ordinary relations of everyday life. There's no art to find the mind's construction in the face, says the baffled Duncan, about a man who had betrayed his trust. But Macbeth confronts a deeper perplexity, an appalling mystery within himself. And we have a stanza here. My thought, whose murder yet is but fantastical, shakes so my single state of man that function is smothered in surmise, and nothing is but what is not. The witches have something to do with this inner torment, but what that something is remains as elusive as the dagger that Macbeth sees before him, handle toward his hand. Scotland is sick, almost afraid to know itself. Also a very reminiscent of Hamlet saying the rotten state of Denmark. But the sickness cannot be isolated in a conspiracy of witches. If violence stirs in the hinterlands, while marauding armies struggle, it breeds more murderously still in the inmost circles of the realm, where the ruler feels most secure. This Cathal. Oh God, it's getting late. This castle hath a pleasant seat, says Duncan, going unwittingly to his death. The air nimbly and sweetly recommends itself unto our gentle senses. If the mind is subject to supernatural soliciting from some bizarre place, it is gripped still more terribly and irresistibly by horrible imaginings from within. If there is sexual disturbance out on the heath, where the bearded hags, bearded hags stir the ingredients of their hideous cauldron, there's deeper sexual disturbance at home in the murderous intimacy of the marriage bond. When you durst do it, then you were a man. If you are worried about losing your manhood, it is not enough to hunt for witches. Look to your wife. She's the real witch. Oh! This is the male loneliness epidemic. To want a wife and then worry that she's a witch. I mean, that's really not that far from what is happening today. If you are anxious about your future, scrutinize your best friends. He was a gentleman on whom I built an absolute trust. If you are worried about interior temptation, fear your own dreams. Merciful powers, restrain in me the cursed thoughts that nature gives way to in repose. And if you fear spiritual desolation, turn your eyes on the contents, not only of the hideous cauldron, but of your own skull. Oh, full of scorpions is my mind, dear wife. Oh, I mean same, because I'm a Scorpio. Okay. The men who persecuted witches in Shakespeare's age were determined to compel full confessions, to pass judgment, and to escape from the terror of the inexplicable, the unforeseen, the aimlessly malignant. In Macbeth, the audience is given something better than confession, for it has visible proof of the demonic in action. But this visibility turns out to be as maddeningly equivocal or frustrating as the witches' riddling words. The wayward witches appear and disappear, their promises and prophecies all tricks, like practical jokes, with appalling consequences. The language of the play subverts the illusory certainties of sight and the forces of renewed order. Malcolm and Macduff are themselves strangely unstable. Strangely, or can we attribute that to, like, people constantly vying for power and constantly worrying about their manliness, therefore, like, their dicks in patriarchy? Where did I leave off? Malcolm, who spins an elaborate fantasy of his own viciousness, and Macduff, who abandons his wife and children to their slaughter, are peculiar emblems of a renewed, divinely sanctioned order. Shakespeare may have set out to flatter the king, but it is difficult to see how the king, if he paid any attention to the tragedy that the king's men offered him, could be reassured. Yeah, but that's also because he's not that smart, okay? We can't expect this from the ruling class. The ambiguities of demonic agency are never resolved, and its horror spreads like a mist through a murky landscape. "What is it you do?" Macbeth asks the weird sisters, a deed without a name. By the play's close, Macbeth has begun to doubt the equivocation of the fiend that lies like truth. Equivocations are lies with mental reservations, words with double meanings, puns, twists of emphasis, and plays on false interpretations, such as the meaning of the phrase, "not of woman born." Like the witches, and for that matter, like concepts of gender and authority and social order. Okay, now we're finally talking about gender and social order and authority. Language in Macbeth is a boundary stalker, neither a trustworthy guide nor a manifest illusion. Words sit dangerously in a middle ground. They must be brought under control, but they always threaten to slide into lies or magic charms or riddles or sheer emptiness. It is this emptiness with which Macbeth seems haunted at the end, with his vision of life as a tale told by an idiot, full of sound and fury, signifying nothing, which the book The Sound and the Fury comes from Macbeth. That title, that is. If the closing moments of the play invite us to recoil from this black hole, after all, the tyrant is killed, they invite us to recoil from too confident and simple a celebration of the triumph of grace. For somewhere beyond the immediate circle of order restored, the witches are dancing around the cauldron, and the play seems to imply the cauldron is in every one of us. Oh. That's the end of the introduction. But also, it's like, yes, there may be times that Shakespeare is not overtly appealing to the king, and that he is maybe perhaps wanting to instill in him a sense of dread, maybe even fear of witches, something that King James had a great deal of. He wrote a book on the demonic. He also was the one who the King James Bible is named after. So he had a very clear vested interest in controlling what people thought, what they thought of as pure and holy and spiritual, and who is being viewed as demonic, who is not, to justify his political ends. But also, if Shakespeare was doing this more sincerely, it's like, in a way that was questioning power more directly, King James would not have been as thrilled with Macbeth. He would have wanted to ban it instead. And ultimately, this is what I think artists should be doing, is to be pushing the ruling class, the oppressive powers that be, to question their own perspective and ends. So, hello, Stuart Little is my son. Welcome. Oh, you have the emotes. Yeah, those are our cats, Kit and Juniper. Juniper, oh, she wasn't here. She was taking a drink. Anyway, that is the end of the introduction to Macbeth. We'll start on the play itself on Monday. We'll also be talking more about the history of Scotland, the Highlander history, the Glencoe massacre that is a representation of the tactics of colonizers, and how we cannot be looking to colonizer policy and sentiment for morality. Anyway, thank you all for being here. It was lovely having you and chatting with you. That is going to be it for me today, but I appreciate you all being here. I hope you have a good rest of your day, evening, wherever you are. Is there someone on that we could raid? I mean, I know it is late. Normally I'm not streaming this long or late, so I don't really know who is on right now. We also don't have to do a raid if there's someone that we're not able to find. Let's see. You know what? That's okay. We'll just leave it at that. We'll do a raid another day. Anyway, thank you, raiders, for being here. Thank you all for joining. Alright. I hope to see you soon. Okay, bye.